"It doesn't matter to us how long this war lasts," says Iranian general. Australia deploys military assets to Middle East amid regional conflict. China ramps up high-stakes tech race with US as economic imbalances deepen. Iran conflict may strain US missile supplies for Ukraine. Judge orders US Customs to process refunds on illegal Trump tariffs. Iran has pledged to continue its military operations until its objectives are achieved, as tensions in the Gulf continue to escalate. Iranian General Qamar Haydari, deputy commander of the Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, said Iran would not abandon the conflict and vowed to inflict heavy losses on the United States. Speaking to the semi-official Tasnim news agency, Haydari said Iran was prepared for a prolonged confrontation, noting the country's experience during the 8-year Iran-Iraq War. Meanwhile, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said its naval forces struck a U.S. tanker in the northern Gulf early Thursday. The IRGC also warned that military and commercial vessels linked to the United States, Israel, and allied European countries would not be allowed to pass through the region. It added that Iran reserves the right to control passage through the Strait of Hormuz during wartime, under international law. The developments come as tensions in the Gulf continue to rise, raising concerns about regional security and potential disruption to global shipping routes. Australia has deployed military aircraft and crisis response teams to the Middle East as part of contingency plans to evacuate its citizens amid escalating regional tensions. The move follows US-Israeli strikes on Iran that reportedly killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese described the situation as dangerous for those assisting Australians in the region. According to Agence France-Presse, 2 military aircraft, a heavy transport plane and a refueling aircraft have been deployed. The Australian government estimates that about 115,000 of its citizens are currently in the region. While military assets have been positioned to assist if necessary, officials said commercial flights remain the primary option for Australians wishing to return home. China has pledged to increase investment in high-tech industries and scientific innovation, describing them as key to strengthening national security and economic self-reliance amid growing geopolitical tensions with the United States. At the opening of the annual session of China's parliament, Premier Li Qiang said the country had been able to withstand tariff increases imposed by US President Donald Trump, but warned that multilateralism and free trade were facing serious challenges. Li also announced a 7% increase in both the defense budget and spending on research and development. He acknowledged several economic challenges, including weak domestic demand, subdued market expectations, a prolonged downturn in the property sector, and rising local government debt. The United States' military engagement in Iran could affect the supply of US-made air defense missiles to Ukraine, analysts and officials say, as Russia continues its missile strikes on Ukrainian cities. Since US and Israeli strikes on Iran began on the 1st of March, Tehran has launched hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones toward Gulf countries. Many of these have been intercepted using Patriot PAC-3 missiles, the same system Ukraine relies on to defend key infrastructure. Analysts say the limited production of these interceptors could strain supplies. The missiles are produced by Lockheed Martin, which manufactures about 600 PAC-3 interceptors annually. Experts say that number is already insufficient to meet the needs of the United States and its Gulf allies, as well as Ukraine. Serhiy Kuzan, head of the Ukrainian Security and Cooperation Center, said the situation reflects what he called the simple mathematics of war, with limited weapons being required across multiple conflict zones. A judge at the United States Court of International Trade has ordered the U.S. government to begin issuing potentially billions of dollars in tariff refunds to importers. Judge Richard Eaton ruled on Wednesday that companies which paid tariffs later deemed illegal must be repaid with interest. The decision follows a Supreme Court of the United States ruling last month that found the tariffs had been collected unlawfully. In a court filing, Eaton instructed U.S. Customs and Border Protection to finalize the cost of imported shipments without applying the disputed tariffs. This step, known as liquidation, determines the final amount owed on goods brought into the country. Importers typically pay an estimated duty when goods enter the United States, with the final cost calculated about 314 days later. By removing the tariff from that calculation, the process would generate refunds for affected shipments. The judge said customs regularly issues refunds when duties are overpaid and should be able to adjust its system accordingly.